The first thing Ward noticed when he came to was the smell. Not of roses, not of burnt toast or even smoldering carbon. No, it was the uniquely vile stench of recycled sweat, charred circuitry, and something that could only be described as melted vending machine. His helmet HUD flickered with static, then sputtered off completely, leaving him staring at the cracked dome of the moon's dim sky. It looked like someone had taken a scoop out of the stars. His ears rang with the high-pitched warble of a nearby distress beacon, which sounded suspiciously like it was playing Dancing Queen in reverse. He groaned and sat up, clutching his side. His exosuit's servos hissed like a moody cat. Great. Another fine day in the Galactic neighborhood. A small figure stood 10 meters away watching him. She tilted her head like a bird, or possibly like someone evaluating whether he was edible. Her skin shimmered faintly under the moon's violet light. She looked human almost, but then he noticed the ears, long, graceful, and twitching at the tips like radio antennae searching for a signal. The girl blinked. "Hi," Ward rasped, voice dry as Martian sand. "You lost too, or just sightseeing the apocalypse?" She blinked again, then pointed at his boot. He followed her gaze. It was on fire. "Ah," he muttered, slapping it out with both hands while trying to maintain a shred of dignity. "Very tactical. Fire-resistant soles, my ass." The girl stepped closer, eyes large and solemn. She spoke softly in a language he didn't recognize, sing-song, full of odd consonants and liquid vowels. Then, to his utter bewilderment, she started humming. The tune. It was unmistakable. "Is that... Oops, I did it again?" She nodded. Ward stared. "Okay, either I'm concussed, or this moon is broadcasting vintage pop songs into alien brains." She reached out and gently touched the tag on his chest plate. Ward.T. Then she said something that chilled his spine. "Blarf." He squinted at her. "I'm... sorry?" "Blarf," she said again, more insistent. Then she patted his chest like one might a loyal space mutt. "Oh no," he muttered, crawling to his feet with effort. "No, kid. I don't do blarfing. I'm a grunt. A nobody. I don't even like kids unless they come with instruction manuals and mute buttons." She grinned. Her ears twitched. And he groaned, because he could already feel it. The gravitational pull, not of the moon beneath him, but of whatever cosmic mess this child had just dragged him into. A beacon pulsed nearby, broken but still functional. The rebel ruins they'd pulled her from had gone up in flames shortly after extraction. Nothing had survived but her. He looked at the girl again. No, not a girl. Not just a girl. Something told him this wasn't some orphan survivor. This was someone important, which meant trouble, which meant if command found out, they'd snatch her up and start poking her with needles labeled diplomatic opportunity. Ward sighed and muttered under his breath. Should have stayed retired. Should have opened that noodle bar on Ceres. But instead, here he was, moon crashed, out of supplies, with a child who might start an interstellar war with a sneeze. He scanned the horizon, wreckage everywhere, a broken shuttle, no communications, and her. She took his hand without asking. He didn't pull away. "Right," he grumbled. "Let's go find someone with bigger problems than us. Preferably someone with snacks." As they started walking toward the shimmer of the canyon ahead, Ward noticed the girl's ears glowing slightly, a soft pulse, rhythmic. Her humming resumed, now a different tune. Something alien, haunting. He didn't understand the words, but something in it tugged at him. Memory, maybe, or prophecy. He muttered, "Just once, I'd like to rescue a puppy instead of the catalyst for galactic upheaval." The girl responded by sneezing, and the sky flickered. "Ah," he said aloud, not even surprised. "So, that's the kind of story this is." They walked on. Queen Zavala of Valerian Prime did not so much sit on her throne as loom from it. Carved from obsidian-veined stardust, the throne was a relic of an age when planetary monarchs regularly hurled suns at one another during arguments about border disputes. Her crown, tall and crystalline, was not merely ceremonial. It hummed with quantum pressure, capable of calculating planetary orbits and firing laser bolts if someone sneezed too loudly. At this particular moment, her long, iridescent ears were twitching in an unmistakable rhythm, the tempo of profound, universe-sized irritation. "Your Majesty," droned one of her 12 advisors, the one shaped like a walking jellyfish in a waistcoat, "we urge you to consider closing the succession vault. It has been 8 cycles. The child is, statistically speaking—" "Complete your sentence," she said, voice calm as a star before it goes supernova. "A hopeful abstraction," the advisor concluded, suddenly unsure if jellyfish could sweat. Zavala rose. All 12 advisors stiffened, one pretending to be a wall panel. Her gown, a flowing cascade of anti-gravity silk, fluttered in defiance of the palace atmosphere. She descended the dais slowly, each step echoing like a threat. Her long ears glowed faintly at the tips, signals of neural heat from emotion. "The girl is not an abstraction," she said. "She was stolen, and until I know why and by whom, I will not close the succession vault." Another advisor tried to whisper something about budget constraints, but was immediately silenced by a flick of her hand. A nearby chair melted. Zavala turned away from the court and entered her private chamber, a vast room filled with relics from both Valerian history and her own personal madness. One wall displayed musical toys from Earth. Yes, Earth. It was there her daughter had last been seen. A diplomatic visit gone wrong. A blast. A crater. A lullaby swallowed by silence. A soft voice interrupted her memory. "I could set fire to something until you feel better," said her chief security officer, Commander Gir, an amphibian hybrid who had learned sarcasm after binge-watching old Earth comedies during a surveillance mission. Zavala didn't smile, but her ears relaxed a fraction. "No need." The council's egos combust well enough. Gir patted forward. "You know, there are rumors, whispers from the fringe colonies. A child with your ears? A girl who sings ancient Velari lullabies while braiding cables into war symbols?" The queen narrowed her eyes. "Where?" "Unconfirmed. A derelict moon. A human soldier was seen, alone, with a child." Her gaze sharpened like a blade unsheathed in a vacuum. "A human?" "I know. Either very brave, very stupid, or suffering from an acute case of heroism." Zavala turned back toward her relic wall. Among the items sat a shattered music box from Earth, a primitive sphere that had once played soft melodies. She touched it lightly, and it stuttered to life, releasing a broken strain of sound. The same lullaby. The queen closed her eyes. When she opened them, they burned like the red suns of Valerian's twin moons. "Summon the fleet," she said, "and prepare my ceremonial wrath." Gir saluted. "Ceremonial or actual?" Zavala's ears twitched. "Let's begin with ceremonial. For now." As her orders echoed through the palace and across the stars, another whisper danced through the comms of distant outposts. "The queen is moving. Something has changed." Back in her chamber, alone once more, Zavala sat before an ancient holograph, her daughter infant and smiling, reaching toward the lens. She pressed her palm to it, then whispered, "Come back to me, my star. Come back, or I will burn galaxies until I find you." And far, far away, on a moon where vending machines sparked and flamingos did not belong, a little girl sneezed again. Somewhere, a sensor exploded. Commander Gir, reviewing the data from orbit, muttered, "Oh, good, she's definitely her mother's daughter." The diplomatic landing protocols of Valerian Prime were known throughout the quadrant for their elegance, precision, and intense overuse of golden flourishes. Incoming vessels were expected to descend in slow spirals, announce themselves with formal trumpet tones, either digital or biological, and never under any circumstance crash into the Empress's royal koi sanctuary, which naturally was exactly what Ward did. His cargo shuttle hit the ornamental lake with all the grace of a drunken meteor. The surface exploded in steam and debris, flinging a dozen oversized amphibious koi fish into the air, 2 of which promptly burst into flame because they were bioluminescent and really didn't appreciate rapid depressurization. Inside the battered cockpit, Ward coughed out a lungful of smoke and muttered, 10 out of 10 landing." "Stuck it. The child, still miraculously cheerful, despite the apocalyptic splashdown, clapped politely. Her long ears drooped with moisture, but perked again when she spotted the crowd assembling beyond the trees. Dozens of palace guards in shimmering black armor with gold inlays advanced like they were preparing for a polite invasion. "Stay close," Ward muttered, grabbing the girl's tiny hand. "And if anyone tries to scan your brain, scream the alphabet backward in Vilari." The girl beamed. "Blarf." "Oh, good," he groaned. That nickname survived the crash. Moments later, they were surrounded. The guards didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their weapons, shaped like obsidian lyres, hummed with the kind of energy that said, "Move, and you become mist." Then the air changed. The light dimmed. She arrived. Queen Zavala descended the steps of her palace like a myth stepping down from legend. Her gown shimmered like star fields trapped in silk. Her long ears twitched with every breath of the atmosphere, catching signals too faint for human minds. Even the koi, or what remained of them, quieted in reverence. Ward found himself standing straighter, partly out of instinct, mostly because her gaze could probably paralyze an asteroid. The queen's eyes landed on the child. For a moment, nothing moved. Then the girl said something soft. In Vilari, a name. Zavala's breath caught. The child sang two notes, a lullaby. It was the same tune that echoed in the queen's private chambers. The one she had played on an ancient Terran music sphere. A melody that no outsider could have possibly known. The queen stepped forward, ears trembling, and slowly knelt. "Lyra," she whispered. The girl blinked, then tilted her head, curious. "Blarf." Ward coughed into his hand. "We're still workshopping the names." No one laughed, except the queen. It was the smallest sound, barely audible over the wind and the low hum of the security perimeter, but unmistakable. A laugh, dry, surprised, unroyal. She rose slowly and looked at Ward. Her expression was unreadable, half awe, half threat. How did a human soldier find the blood of Valerian in a forgotten moon? He shifted, suddenly aware of how bad his boots smelled after moon crash immersion. Long story. Starts with me being unlucky and ends with me being stupid. Zavala studied him. "And yet, here you are. Story of my life." The queen extended her hand, not in greeting, but in command. Her voice softened, but only barely. "You will come with us. You will explain everything, and you will not lie." "Tempting offer," Ward replied. "Any chance I can shower first? Or at least rinse off the flaming koi residue?" Behind him, one of the guards cleared his throat. Ward glanced over. "Oh, that's a no, huh?" "Right. Royal protocols." As they walked through the gates of the palace, flanked by guards and glimmering fountains, the child nestled against Ward's side and began humming again. Zavala watched them both, a queen and a mother warring behind her gaze. She had her daughter back, but peace never came without price. And this human, this strange, joking, mud-covered soldier, was the beginning of questions far more dangerous than answers. Ward found himself sitting in a polished metal chair that hummed faintly. Not the soothing kind of hum, but more like a disgruntled robot complaining about an overdue oil change. Across from him sat a cluster of interrogators, a bipedal cephalopod with too many eyes, a sentient moss that occasionally quivered in what he hoped was impatience, and a humanoid whose face flickered between dozens of expressions as if trying to decide which one made him look more intimidating. Ward had seen friendlier welcome committees on hostile planets. "So," began the cephalopod, its many eyes blinking in synchrony, "explain exactly why you risked your life, your entire unit, and a seriously questionable lunch ration to retrieve this child." Ward cleared his throat, wondering if there was a secret clause in his enlistment contract about explaining idiocy to alien bureaucracies. "Well, it's simple. I found her. She was alone. And, honestly, I didn't want her to end up as Star Chow." The moss quivered, releasing a faint glow that Ward suspected was either a sigh or the equivalent of a facepalm. "Star Chow is colloquial, I take it?" the humanoid asked, his expression stabilizing on something between amused and confused. Ward shrugged. "Yeah, space jargon for eaten by whatever cosmic predator is hungry." Not exactly a recruitment pitch, but it'll do. The interrogators exchanged looks, or at least Ward assumed so. Trying to interpret the moss's glowing was a losing battle. Finally, the cephalopod spoke again. You're aware of the political ramifications, yes? The Queen has declared your actions a diplomatic incident of the highest order. Ward leaned back, wincing as the chair protested. Diplomatic incident, sure, but sometimes saving a kid means tossing the rulebook out the airlock. Besides, I figured the kid was more important than a few angry speeches. The humanoid smiled, a genuine one this time. And the child? Why her? Why that remote moon? Ward sighed. That's the mystery. She was hidden inside a cryopod buried beneath rebel ruins. Whoever put her there didn't want her found easily. The sentient moss brightened. Intriguing. Subterfuge layered with ancient technology, a protective measure or a trap? Ward rubbed his neck. Honestly, I'd say a bit of both. I just stumbled into it. Suddenly, a comm beep interrupted, and a hologram flickered to life beside the cephalopod. Queen Zavala herself, her long ears twitching, eyes sharper than plasma blades. Soldier Ward, she began, voice cold but not without curiosity. Your candor is noted, yet you have not explained the most crucial question. Why you? Why risk everything for a child of Valerian blood when you are but a single human grunt? Ward swallowed hard. Ma'am, if I'm honest, sometimes it's not about strategy or glory. Sometimes it's about doing what's right. And maybe, just maybe, I'm tired of being just a grunt. The Queen's lips twitched, almost a smile, or maybe a smirk. Such sentimentality is rare among your kind, she said. You carry a heavy burden now, soldier. This child is not only my daughter, but a symbol of fragile hope. Ward nodded. I get that, and I'm ready to carry that burden, even if it means dealing with a few angry jellyfish in judgmental moss. The Queen's eyes sparkled with amusement, and her ears flicked once, a sign Ward decided was approval. As you will, she said, but know this. Your choices have set wheels in motion. We will need more than luck and stubbornness to survive what comes next. Ward grinned, despite the weight pressing down on him. Luck and stubbornness? Sounds like my kind of recipe. The hologram blinked off, and the interrogators resumed their silent scrutiny. Ward glanced at the child, now humming quietly to herself. Somewhere beneath those long ears and enigmatic eyes was a story waiting to unfold. And whether he liked it or not, he was right in the middle of it. The grand hall of Valerian Prime's palace was alive with a chaotic blend of opulence and whispered conspiracy. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen galaxies overhead, casting refracted rainbows across the polished floors, where diplomats and dignitaries in exotic garb mingled with wary glances and forced smiles. Ward found himself swept into the swirl, a mud-caked human soldier adrift in a sea of shimmering robes and alien protocols that could make a black hole blush. Remember, muttered Commander Zir, her amphibious form gliding silently beside him. No accidental insults. The Valerian sense of humor is specific, and their insult lasers are very real. Ward grinned despite himself. Right. So no jokes about long ears or flamingo tigers? Especially the flamingo tigers. Amid the diplomatic circus, Ward had been unofficially enlisted as the girl's guardian, though no one had told him what that really meant. All he knew was that Princess Lyra's presence had caused a seismic shift in the fragile political landscape. Tensions that had simmered for years, border disputes, resource claims, ancient grudges, had suddenly paused, held hostage by the mystery of the lost child returned. But peace was a fickle thing. While the palace celebrated, Ward and Queen Zavala convened in a shadowed strategy chamber deep beneath the throne room. The walls were lined with holographic star maps, flickering with blinking lights marking known rebel bases, hostile fleets, and uncharted anomalies. The Queen's long ears twitched as she studied the data, her eyes reflecting countless suns. Someone wanted her hidden, Zavala said quietly, not merely stolen, concealed in a place where even the fiercest hunts fail. Ward tapped a coordinate on the map. The derelict moon. It's a ghost. No regular patrols, no sensors, Just us and whatever's left of the ruins. And now this, she gestured to the girl sitting silently beside them, humming softly and weaving delicate braids into her own hair, braids that shimmered with nanofibers capable of storing encrypted data. Lyra carries secrets not just of blood, but of technology lost to time. Ward scratched his head. Great, a princess with access codes in her hair. What's next? An alien crown that doubles as a laser gun? Zavala smiled, a rare, genuine curve of her lips. Do not joke of lasers lightly, human. Their laughter was brief. The queen's expression hardened as her ears flicked sharply. There is more. Intelligence suggests a shadow network spanning human and alien worlds, trafficking in stolen bio-royalty and political leverage. Ward blinked. Bio-royalty? That sounds like interstellar royalty gone all sci-fi horror. It is, the queen agreed. And they want Lyra. If we are careless, we will ignite a war that will consume entire star systems. Ward exhaled slowly. Well, at least I'm not just a grunt anymore. Suddenly, an alarm blared, a red, pulsating warning that shook the chamber. The holograms shifted. A fleet of unmarked ships had breached the outer defense perimeter. Zhir's voice crackled through the comms. We have company, and they're not here for tea? Ward glanced at Lyra, who met his gaze with a serene smile, long ears flicking once. Looks like the fun's just getting started. The queen rose, regal and resolute. Prepare the palace defenses, gather the allies, and soldier, ready your jokes. They may be our last line of defense. Ward grinned, gripping his blaster. Flamingo tigers, here we come. The orbit of Iro 6 glimmered cold and silent against the endless black canvas of space, a forgotten jewel suspended between star systems. From the bridge of Valerian's flagship, Celestial Dominion, Queen Zavala watched the distant flicker of the insurgent fleet gathering like shadows beneath the moon's pale light. Her long ears twitched, subtle signals pulsing in tandem with the starship's quantum sensors, each whispering danger, urgency, hope. Ward stood beside her, clad in a suit that was still a little too muddy and rumpled for royal taste, blaster slung loosely at his side. Years ago, he'd been a nameless grunt, a faceless cog in a war machine that churned endlessly through the stars. Now he was something else entirely. Guardian, unlikely hero, and the thread that wove fragile peace back into the galaxy's torn tapestry. The moment of reckoning had arrived. Below in the docking bay, Princess Lyra Zevalani sat quietly, her long ears reflecting the soft glow of the starship's artificial sunlight. She was no longer the scared, mysterious child he'd found on that scorched moon. Nanofiber braids shimmered with encoded data, a living archive of Valerian's lost secrets. Her eyes held wisdom far beyond her years, an unspoken promise of hope for a future beyond war. As alarms blared and sirens wailed, the insurgents launched their assault. Explosions rocked the flagship, the starship's shield shimmering under relentless plasma fire. Ward moved like a storm, firing with precision and grit, protecting the princess with a fierceness that surprised even him. When a pulse grenade arced toward Lyra, he threw himself between, absorbing the blast in a blur of kinetic armor and stubbornness. Pain seared through him, but before darkness could claim his senses, a luminous energy enveloped him. Queen Zavala knelt beside him, her hands glowing with forbidden power. A neural bond forged by ancient Valerian rites, healing and linking their minds in a symphony of shared strength. You could have let me die, Ward gasped. I did not, she replied, voice steady as the gravimetric fields that held their fleet together. You are part of this now, as much as any royal. Together they rallied the defenders, turning the tide. The insurgent fleet scattered like frightened comets, their ambitions shattered by unity forged in blood and trust. In the quiet aftermath, the galaxy exhaled. Peace talks commenced, alliances reforged from the ashes of conflict. Ward was offered titles, lands, even command of a fleet. He accepted only a simple cape, a symbol, he joked, that he still wasn't trying to be a prince. Queen Zavala stood beside him during the final treaty signing, her long ears brushing gently against his arm, a gesture both tender and regal. You have changed, soldier, she said, not just by finding my daughter, but by reminding us all why we fight, for family, for hope, for a future worth living. Ward smiled, eyes bright with new purpose. Guess all I needed was a kid with glowing ears and a crazy queen to show me the way. Princess Lyra laughed softly, her voice weaving between their worlds, a melody of promise and light. As the stars watched silently, the unlikely family stood united. An alien queen, her daughter returned, and a human who had risked everything to bring her home. And in that moment, the galaxy felt a little less lonely.